So basically, overall, what we're saying is there's two types of hunger. There's
Mhm.
real hunger, like physiological hunger, and then there's cravings. And
Yeah.
do you know what? I think it's hard to like sometimes differentiate the two unless you've had some practice in terms of not eating for a period of time. And, you know, for example, if you intermittent fast or you fasted for a period of time, you do start to get quite clever and quite smart about what real hunger is. But we want to dive obviously a little bit into dietary strategies because this is a practical podcast. We're here to help you get rid of those hunger cravings and figure out what to do about them. So what do you reckon, Dan, is your advice, number one skill that you could learn to help you on the path of starting to understand hunger?
Going away from the educational perspective, if you're strategizing with it, firstly, I think we've got to go back to the mindfulness side of it. We've got to sit there and say, is it hunger or am I dehydrated or am I just craving something like sugary? And normally...
Welcome back to the Perform Well podcast. This is the podcast for you if you're looking for performance and wellness optimization so that you can not only smash your career, but also have a better life, better relationships, and better health. We believe that performance and wellness are yin and yang and work together. So listen in as we dive into topics that are going to help you optimize your life for the better. Welcome back to another episode of the Perform Well podcast, and today we're going to discuss the ultimate guide to overcoming hunger when losing weight. Dan, how are we doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing all right, mate. I'm doing all right. How's your week been?
Mine's been good. As you probably heard, I've been with the air ambulance, promoting them. Got this little neck sleeve thing, which Rob gave me. That's so weird.
What is that? So is that what you wear when you ride then?
Yeah, so when it's cold weather, like when you're riding and stuff, as you know, right, put this over your neck. I'm going to try and attempt to do this right now. With headphones on.
And you got to wear that for the rest of the podcast now.
That failed big time.
But you wear that around your neck. That keeps you nice and warm as you're doing. You did London to Bristol this weekend as well?
Mate, it was actually really good. Last time, Rob dominated me and he was ahead the whole time. And this time, he actually suffered big time because of his, well, can I say this to everyone? Gooch pain.
Really?
Yeah, he got massive gooch pain this time round. But we then went to Cheddar Gorge and guess what, Dan? I nearly died, mate.
Okay, we went to Cheddar Gorge, but what did you do in Cheddar?
Okay.
Was it cycling up Cheddar Gorge?
Cycling up and cycling down. And I'll tell you now, most beautiful place ever to cycle down, 35 miles an hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
10 minutes later, after I went off into like a town area, as I was coming to a stop, a car stopped in front of me suddenly. So I slammed my brakes on and there's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
My brakes completely failed and my wheels just kept spinning as normal. And I had to divert onto a sidewalk, or pavement as we say in the UK, crash into a building and like just push my shoulder against it, and I'm lucky I didn't fall over. If that happened 10 minutes earlier on the gorge at 35 miles an hour, I would have crashed into a rock face and probably broken a bone or scuffed my skin off or died or something. Who knows? Like,
had you worn your brakes down then?
No. So for those that don't know about road bikes or do know about road bikes, there's on a disc brake, there's a cable tension that you tighten up and it actually pulls through, pulls up the brake lever, which then allows the brake to engage. I kept tightening that because it wasn't working, thinking that if I tighten it, it will create more pressure. What it did was the other side wasn't tightened. So therefore, I was tightening one side, causing this issue of this constant braking, which was annoying as hell, and the other side never engaged. And so eventually, there was no give left when I clicked through, and it just literally disengaged. It was dangerous, man. It was so dangerous.
I'd be terrified. But you're okay, I take it. You're not like broken.
I'm good. Jesus was with me that day, man. Like, Jesus was with me. Everyone says so it sounds so dramatic, right? But honestly, I generally think like that was the luckiest day like I've ever had. Like 10 minutes earlier would have been a different story.
Yeah, I mean, if you went flying into a building at 35 miles an hour, then there would have been all sorts of broken bones at that point in time, my friend.
Would have been a rock face, not even a wall, a rock face. But Dan, how was your weekend, man?
Yeah, my weekend was good. It was pretty chill, actually. Some news for the viewers out there, for anyone who follows my socials. I'm going ice skating next Monday, actually. Speaking of weekend tasks.
Nice.
I'm going ice skating for the first time. My partner, who's very much into ice hockey, has decided this activity is a great idea and it's going to be very humouring for everyone to watch. So there's going to be loads of content surrounding it, but I am shitting one. I am actually shitting one.
Who's going to film it?
Eleanor, because she can skate, so she can skate and film. So she'll just be on the ice skating. She usually does. Like, she'll just be skating backwards, filming, and there'll be me, like, literally just sliding backwards and forwards like a giraffe with skates on. It's not going to look pretty.
I think. But it's
the first one.
I think you should stop triathlons and do figure eight skate. Figure eight.
Figure skating. You think, mate, I know I wear Lycra enough these days, but figure skating is not down my alleyway. I am not that kind of technique-driven human. Everything's gross motor skills over here.
I know your ass is the size of like a Latina girl, but we do need to get you
Manhattan.
We do need to get you some nice spandex that fits you, all right? I know a shop,
mate.
Gymshark will
We can do that for the next podcast. I can sit here and spandex. Actually, I'll say here's a goal for you guys. If we get over 100 likes on this podcast episode, I will sit in our next, or whenever we film live, I will wear spandex in our next podcast episode. But you've got to get 100 likes on this one.
I don't know if a lot of people would like that, mate.
That's nearly all our subs. So if all of our subs like it, then I'll be sat in spandex for the next podcast.
Right,
but we digress.
Yeah, I was going to say the topic today obviously is about hunger. Like a lot of clients I speak to, they overeat and they keep saying to me like, I just can't stop eating. You know, I can't stop eating. I can't control my cravings. I can't control my hunger. So today we're going to tell you how you can do it. It's actually really simple. A lot of people make this mistake. So Dan, what is hunger, man?
I think you've always got to differentiate with hunger. A lot of people, hunger and cravings are two different things. You can crave food and you can be hungry. So like right now, I've had a smaller lunch than I normally would just because I'm having a busy day. And I know that I've eaten, I am satiated, I've had some food, but I'm still technically what people would contribute to hunger. But it's not, it's now my sugar palate's coming in because I've had a salty meal. And it's gone, oh, now I'm craving some sugar, so I want some more food. But it makes me think I'm hungry. So then I have something that's really calorie dense. Like, I don't know, I have a bit of toast with some Biscoff on it or something like that. I'll go and have that, and I'll try and add into it saying that that's going to reduce my hunger, when in turn, actually, it's probably going to make it a little bit worse because that sugar's going to be used up quite quickly, and it won't fill me up for a long period of time.
So basically, overall, what we're saying is there's two types of hunger. There's real hunger, like physiological hunger, and then there's cravings. And
yeah,
do you know what? I think it's hard to like sometimes differentiate the two unless you've had some practice in terms of not eating for a period of time. And you know, for example, if you intermittent fast or you fasted for a period of time, you do start to get quite clever and quite smart about what real hunger is. But we want to dive obviously a little bit into dietary strategies because this is a practical podcast. We're here to help you get rid of those hunger cravings and figure out what to do about them. So what do you reckon, Dan, is your advice, number one skill that you could learn to help you on the path of starting to understand hunger?
I mean, going away from the educational perspective, if you're strategizing it with it, firstly, I think we've got to go back to the mindfulness side of it. We've got to sit there and say, is it hunger? Or am I dehydrated? Or am I just craving something like sugary? And normally the way we can kind of equate that is normally feeding windows. So actually you shared a really good post by the PT coach. And if anyone doesn't follow him, he's fantastic. We've had him on the pods recently. And basically it's stating that when you're eating, it's having regular feeding windows. Because if you know that you're eating a satiating meal at each of those windows, normally it's not going to be hunger regulated throughout later of the day. If you're in a deficit, you're probably going to be hungry anyway. But you also need to bear in mind that those windows are most likely going to be craving. So it's having the mindfulness to sit there and go, have I drank water recently? Like within the last hour? If that's a no, you're more than likely probably dehydrated as opposed to hunger. Have I eaten within the last 4 hours? Have I had some kind of food? If it's no, then you're probably hungry. Or is it craving related? Are you determining that you need something sugary because you've had something really salty just prior to it? And it is the same thing. I like to use the cupboards as kind of an anecdote that people can eat a full meal, but the first thing people do is they automatically go to the cupboard after having a full meal because the cupboard is where biscuits are. The cupboard is where our brains have been trained as children that's where the snacks are. And a snack is something you have straight after having a meal.
What'd you call it? A snack?
A snack.
A snack.
A snack. A snack. I don't mean to do it. Eleanor picked up on this. I had a H into words that don't need a H. I did it with that. I did it with snail once and called him a snail.
Snail. Snack.
Snail and snack. But yeah, so it's about regulating stuff. Now, what would you say is one of the best ways of doing this through kind of a nutritional intervention? What would you say for people to eat that's going to help them out?
Well, I'll tell you what, I totally agree with mindfulness. Like, you need to know, first of all, what you're actually feeling in the body. And you can only do that when you actually take the time to actually register what's going on. And that is a mindfulness technique. If anyone wants to learn more about mindfulness, we have done a podcast on it. I can't remember what episode it was, Dan.
Mate, it's in the 30s probably. That's my assumption. Just a random pick out the air there.
Yeah, we're finally at that point, guys, where we've done a lot of podcasts. You can go back, you can find a mindfulness one, and you can learn how to be mindful. It will help save your life and change your life, I promise you. Now, when it comes to nutrition strategies, we need to think. On a very basic level, your stomach is a certain size, right? When you fill up your stomach, it basically sends signals to your brain saying, I'm full. All right, that's the most basic version of what we're going to discuss here, okay? Now, certain foods are going to be lower in calories, but higher in terms of food volume. So, for example, peanut butter, high in calories, quite small in terms of the amount of space in it. But then it also is fats, and fats can also increase satiety as well. But if you compare that to vegetables, such as broccoli, leafy greens, beans, etc., low in calories, high in food volume, a lot bigger in the stomach. They fill you up quicker. Now, a lot of people struggle with hunger because they're not eating foods that are low in calories and high in food volume and fiber. So what we'd recommend is consuming a balanced diet that is rich in fiber, rich in protein, healthy fats as well, because that's very key to prolonging satiety. And the reason for that is because it slows down the rate of digestion, and therefore your body signals that it's full. So fiber-rich foods, vegetables, whole grains, slowing your digestion down with good healthy fats and high protein is what I'd recommend.
I tell you what, one of the greatest snacks out there that's high in fiber as well, and it's going to keep you feeling full. And people think, I think this is a really underrated snack because it's actually not very high in calories too. It's falafel and hummus, because it's just chickpeas. Yeah. And the fiber in chickpeas is going to carry over so nicely into your diet throughout the day. You'll be finding it's a really good source of protein as well, because I think it's about 25 grams for the whole amount.
Add to that, literally, the hummus. If you get like little carrots and broccoli and carrots, cucumber, celery, and you put that into hummus as a little snack, brilliant.
Apologies for interrupting the podcast. We know you're getting fully engrossed into this episode, and we really appreciate you stopping on the video on YouTube or on Spotify if you found us through one of the search pages. Make sure to leave a review and a subscription if you haven't already. But we just wanted to interject a point here that me and Nick have 15 years of coaching experience between us, and it's only getting better as we've got better guests on the podcast. The only way we can do that, though, is with the growth of our program that we've just released. We've got a 12-month Perform Well program, which has just dropped, and we'd love you guys to get involved in it. If you want to learn more details, make sure to head to the description, as we've got our website in there, which can give you a full overlay of the program. We're looking to help career-driven professionals, entrepreneurs, small business owners, and anyone dominate their life by improving their lifestyle. Me and Nick like to claim ourselves as experts in this area, and if you want to check out some of our own other transformations, I'm sure you do. We've got some amazing people who have performed so well off the back of this program. Have a cracking day, and we really appreciate your time. Let's get back to the podcast.
Very low calorie.
And you're getting so much nutrition from that as well. It's so good to balance things out. And it's such a simple take on it. Falafel's not expensive.
Yeah.
Hummus isn't. You can make your own hummus. Hummus is really simple to make. It's literally oil, chickpeas. I think it's pretty much that, to be honest. You just blend them together.
Yeah.
Really good stuff. But in terms of like, we spoke about kind of hunger control there, and like going on to the argument about hydration or hunger. How does someone differentiate? I kind of gave a little bit of a sneak preview there previously. How does someone differentiate between hunger and hydration?
Between hunger and hydration? I mean, to be fair, they do say that most of the time it's hydration that's the thing that's causing you to be hungry. If you generally are hydrated and you're drinking enough water and you get enough electrolytes in your system and you're still hungry, then it's very likely to be food. Now, to be honest with you, I find it quite hard to differentiate between the two. So first thing I do is I drink some water. If it doesn't help, then I know I'm hungry. It's pretty simple in my eyes. Now, I've luckily been through a little bit of fat loss stages. If anyone that is listening has been through a fat loss stage, you're going to be a bit more clued up about, what's what. If you haven't, then you're going to have to do a bit of trial and error in this case. Try water first. Make sure that you're obviously eating enough sodium, electrolytes, magnesium, potassium, etc. And then obviously after that point, it is just food related. How about yourself?
I mean, there was some. No, I mean it's the same thing as you said there. I like to identify when I last had a drink. So like having just larger water bottles, godsend. I've used this with a lot of clients. Like this is 800 mils. I mean anything up to a liter, because then you can start to count in accordance with what you're doing. And if you are trying to work out your hydration, just quickly throwing it in there, times your body weight in kilos by 0.033, and you get the amount of liters you need to drink in a day.
Wait, let's simplify that. What did you say? 0.003.
So if you 0.033, yeah, 0.033,
0.033.
0.03.
Just checking. Cool.
Sorry, just
I thought you said two zeros after the dot, and I was like, what?
No, just one. And you can get it like mine's 3 liters, and I knew 3 liters is 4 of these.
Yeah.
So I know that I need to drink 4 of these in a day. Or motivational bottles, really, really good for keeping people drinking. I see so many people with the giant ones, the huge, like absolute units of bottles these days. I know people take the piss, but I'll be totally honest with you, they are so good at keeping you hydrated throughout the day, because you don't have to think about going and filling up, because a lot of people's problems is going and filling up the water bottle when you're comfy on the sofa and don't want to move.
Yours about water kegs.
Yeah, water kegs, basically. Yeah. I've got one up on my shelf, but I've swapped over to this one. And actually, there was a quote that basically about drinking water and how simple it is. Drinking water is the first step to conquering hunger. It's nature's own appetite suppressant. And it's true. It is so easy to just complicate the two, and you suddenly start overeating just because you're dehydrated. The amount, how many clients you have come into you and you go, have you drank enough water today? And how many of them turn around and go, no.
Most of them don't, mate. I mean, here's the thing, right? If we say to you, drink 2 liters of water, yeah, in your head, you're like, right, that sounds simple enough to do. And then when you actually wake up in the morning, you're like, right, I'll drink 2 liters of water today. But you don't actually think, what does 2 liters, I can't just drink a 2 liter bottle of water in one go. That doesn't work. So you've got to break it down into steps. So you have to be really specific when it comes to hydration and your hunger control, and say, rather than I'm going to hit 2 liters today, I'm going to wake up in the morning, I'm going to have 1 glass of water. I'm going to take a bottle of water with me to work, and I'm going to drink it throughout the day. And then when I get home, I'm going to have another glass of water. Before you know it, you hit 2 liters. Be specific. You don't have to like hit the overarching aim. Just be specific with what you're going to do, and then do it. Because if you don't do it, you're going to build the habit. And then when you come back here a year later with another podcast, 100 episodes, 200 episodes, and we'll be saying the same thing to you, repeating the same bullshit story, and you'll be like, "Oh yeah, that's great advice."
You need to just take heed and get on with it. I'm going to be totally honest with you. Like, I think the more time I'm coaching people, the more I'm just kind of dealing with the getting rid of the fluffy stuff.
Yeah.
Where people are coming in and I'm just like, just do it. Like, it's not that hard. You've just got if you sit with a bottle in reach, you're more than likely going to drink it. Now, let's move on a little bit to kind of the more psychological side. So we've kind of spoken about what nutritional foods to eat, hydration being a key factor in this. But what is the kind of psychological side as well? I mean, I can go into, obviously, mindful eating practices. One of the things I'll throw in there is a big tip. And I've worked on this with a client of mine recently who struggled with, shall we say, getting her meals in and then feeling full after a meal. Because one of the worst things, and I mean, look, I do it still to this day, but one of the worst things we can do, and it's one of the most normalized habits we have, is sitting eating in front of the TV. Genuinely. Because we don't actually think about what we're eating at that point in time. Like, stir fries go down like a treat. I don't even realize how quickly I eat. I'm glued to that TV and I'm not tasting the food I'm eating, which is why sometimes with dinners, I try and say 1 or 2 dinners are at the table every single week. So then I have like conversations with my partner and you can start to improve that side of it.
Yeah.
So that's one strategy. Start moving away from the sofa and the TV and actually start sitting at a dinner table. It's called a dinner table for a reason. What would you say are some like psychological hacks that you could throw towards people?
I mean, that's good. Obviously, like if we're talking about the hormone ghrelin, for example, the one that actually signals hunger, that's something that we should have mentioned at the beginning, to be fair. Then our ghrelin is going to be released at certain times of the day based on when we normally eat. Okay, so if we eat breakfast every day, when you wake up, you're gonna feel hungry because ghrelin's been released just before you eat, telling you you're about to eat, right? So if you don't eat breakfast, for example, after about a week to 2 weeks, ghrelin starts to, recognize. So your body starts to recognize that you're not going to eat at that time, so it releases less ghrelin. So therefore, you don't feel as hungry. Now, you're still going to get hungry at some point. It's natural because that's where proper hunger comes in. However, food timing does matter. So if you're someone that pigs out on little snacks throughout the day, you're going to be hungry all the fucking time. If you're someone that has 1 or 2 or even 3 big meals but has no snacks in between, you're only going to get ghrelin spikes 3 times a day. So food timing is probably the most important thing, right? Now, when it comes to like actually planning your food throughout the day, it is worth it to take 20 minutes, sit down, get MyFitnessPal up or our Coach and Lab TrainerWise app, whichever one you've currently got. Make sure you've put all your food into there in terms of the day, and then have a think. Write down when you had that in terms of timings, and figure out what time of the day is where you eat most of your food or crave the most calories. And then start planning your timing better. Most people would do a lot better if they just had better time management, and not just with their schedule and work or whatever, but also with their food and when they're going to plan it. So calendar, MyFitnessPal or Coach and Lab, plan out all your meals where you've been eating currently, where all your calories are going to be, and then think, right, if I'm trying to lose weight and I'm eating all my calories at lunchtime with biscuits and coffee, tea, all this bullshit, then think, right, this is where I need to focus on the most. So now you make a habit-based plan on controlling your lunchtime more than anything else. And that's what I suggest.
I agree completely. Scheduling is such a godsend in terms of just, it gives you a visual, like we are visual learners. Like we as humans are visual learners. And if you can physically see that, for example, at 6:30 in the morning, you're going to go to the gym and then you've got a work block up until, I don't know, say 8:30 till 12. And then you've got like a little lunch break. If you pencil into that lunch break about food and that you're going to eat during that point in time, fantastic. You know, this is more like on a fasting schedule, but you can go obviously breakfast, lunch and dinner, and even just write them down. Like genuinely start to schedule everything you're doing. Yes, sometimes people can go down the massive route of obsessive. I'm going to be brutally honest, it's not that many people who actually get obsessed with this kind of stuff. It is just a useful tool. We're so worried and fearful about the overarching extent that it can go to that we don't even take the first steps. And if you don't take the first steps, you're never going to see that progress at the end of it. So just regulate that too. Now, one important thing that we haven't touched on is sleep, and how important sleep is for regulating the hormones that you're feeling. So sleep doesn't actually directly affect weight loss or weight gain. So I'm talking like if you have a bad night's sleep, it doesn't directly cause you to retain weight. Okay. What happens is it affects the hormones and the balance of the hormones, like Nick's just spoken about there, of ghrelin and leptin. Basically meaning they fluctuate and spike at different times. Also, our insulin is going to fluctuate and spike differently because we end up craving sugar around that point in time when we're feeling tired. For example, just think right now, the time when you had 8 hours sleep and sub 6 hours, which time did you crave more sugar? I'd say sub 6 hours, nice and easily, because you are deficient in energy because your body is working on low power mode, I always like to say, and you are craving something that's going to charge it really quickly. So get your sleep regulated, give yourself a nice routine. I've been working on mine recently, and I've actually managed to get over an hour of deep sleep for the first time in 5 months. Go me. Mate, it's been dreadful terrible, recently. That's terrible. I know, my sleep, my deep sleep is horrendous, but my REM's like 2.5 hours every single night. So it's just like I'm now getting back to it, but that's how important it is. And I feel so much better that I managed to actually sit there and put a strategy in line that I do day in, day out. All I did pretty much was I threw in hot showers, and it does a treat before bed.
Yeah, no one ever talks about hot showers. They always say cold showers. Mate, have a hot shower. It's amazing.
Hot showers are golden. Hot showers are absolutely golden. But guys, as well, if you've taken away some information from this podcast, we do appreciate obviously one staying around and subscribe. We're nearly at 100 subs, and we're approaching 60 episodes now, actually. We really appreciate obviously all your support. Is there anything you wanted to add in towards the end there, Nick?
I just want to add something super practical for you guys. Whenever you listen to these podcasts, it's very easy to get carried away and think, there's all this information. Where do I start? And yes, okay, if you hired us as a coach, we would give you that start. We would tell you what to do and would help you with accountability. But if you're someone that can't do that at the moment or doesn't need to, then pick one thing that we said today and actually spend 20 minutes, dedicate 20 minutes to actually looking at your own habits regarding either it's hydration or food or mindfulness related to that. And then set a plan for the next 3 weeks where you spend 10 to 20 minutes a day on executing on that thing. You need to start actually solidifying a component that you're going to change, because any of those that you change and focus on, I guarantee will give you a massive result in terms of, benefits from what we're talking about today. And that's not even taking every single one of them, just one.
Yeah, 100%, mate, 100%. And it is just those small steps are going to give you the overarching. Yeah. But as I say, we really appreciate you watching this podcast today. We will hopefully be back in a studio soon. We're still waiting at the minute to get confirmation of a new one that we can hopefully go into after our recent one closed down. So thank you so much for the support recently, guys. Make sure to drop us a follow, make sure to subscribe, and make sure to leave some comments. And if you get over 100 likes, yes, I will get some spandex and I will wear them in one of the podcasts. So you've got Nick's shaking his head. There's even more reason for you to do it.
I'll even take 100 dislikes, just whatever.
Whatever, mate. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. We will catch you later.
Ciao, ciao.